It's not that long ago, I only had $400 to my name. In fact, I'll throw a picture on the screen right there. And I was so anxious, I couldn't even leave my parents' house for months, just to go for a walk in the neighborhood. Nowadays, I'm able to close deals worth thousands of dollars with complete strangers, and life has never been that good for me. The thing is, many men feel lost in life, especially young men, who grew up without a brother or a father figure. And every day, I get lots of people who come to me because they need a mentor. They need somebody to show them the way. Because let's face it, by yourself, you don't really accomplish much. I wasn't born with the knowledge on how to build a successful business. I had to learn it from other people. I wasn't born with the knowledge I have on nutrition, on exercise, on relationships. I had to learn it from other people every single time. And the thing is, all these extremely successful and wealthy influencers you look up to, they've been rich and successful for a while now. So they kind of forget what it's like to be in the daily struggle, in the daily grind. You probably know the big YouTuber in the self-improvement community, Hamza. And I remember a while ago, he said in one of his videos that it was difficult for him to make new content to appeal to most of his audience because nowadays he couldn't really relate to the things they were going through. Things like not being able to stick to a diet, constantly relapsing on nofap. So ideally, the best person to learn from, it's somebody who's not so far ahead. It's somebody who's just a step above you, which is why a lot of people, they think they can't start a business because they're too young or too inexperienced. But the thing is, if a beginner wanted to learn to play the guitar, yet we gave that guy Jimi Hendrix as a teacher. Sure, Jimi Hendrix is a fantastic guitar player, so of course he could teach some things to that beginner. However, it's probably been a long time since Jimi Hendrix, like the pro guitarist, hasn't faced the struggles of complete beginners, of total newbies. But the guy who's just a step above, he's been playing the guitar consistently for a few years, he's much closer to the level of the beginner, so he understands his struggles more deeply, and he can help that person to come up with better solutions. Now, to be honest with you, I've always wanted to become extremely wealthy and successful, because growing up in a lower middle class family, we often lacked money, and it felt very frustrating to never be able to do the things we wanted to enjoy life because we couldn't afford it. So while at the same time at home, I would hear my parents complaining about the price of everything constantly. I'm not joking, the price of bread, electricity, gas, clothes, everything. And while I would see my mother spending hours filling out online surveys just to get free products at the grocery store, I would see these wealthy kids at school getting driven around in brand new Mercedes cars, brand new Porsches, and every year they would get the latest iPhone, while at the time, the truth is, I didn't even have a phone. And at that time in my life, I was miserable. I had to force myself every morning to get up super early so I could take the crowded bus to go to school, when deep down, I always felt that the traditional 9-to-5 path wasn't meant for me. If you're watching this video, it's probably the case for you too. You probably want more freedom than the cookie cutter path society has been selling you your entire life. And while we do need doctors, plumbers, firefighters, teachers, we need all those people. But to tell everyone in the world this is the only path, you have to conform to that path, that's just straight up bullshit. People like you and I, we are not meant to conform. We are meant to create our own path, to do something different. I could have never handled the lack of freedom a traditional career would have given me. I could have ended up becoming a banker or let's say CEO of a big company, and sure, I would have made a lot of money, 6 figures a year or even more. But the thing is, it wouldn't have given me the freedom and the fulfillment that I could get instead with my online business. Now in life, I've learned the hard way that becoming successful is not about doing everything right. A few years ago, back when I was still 17, I thought in order to become successful, I needed to be perfect. I thought I needed to get up at 5 a.m. every morning, never miss a day, never miss a workout, take cold showers, meditate, journal, and do all of these things perfectly. When technically speaking, if you take a look at the facts, some of the wealthiest people in the world, they don't do any of that. They get up late, they eat like shit, they sleep like shit. Now of course, what gets you to the level where you are successful is very different to what you have to do in order to become successful. Like what Jeff Bezos was doing, his average workday when he was building Amazon from the start, it's very different to the things he does now, and it only makes sense. What gets you to one level, to let's say $10,000 per month, won't get you to $1 million per month. You will need to evolve along the way. So I'm not saying, oh, just because Warren Buffett drinks Coca-Cola and eat McDonald's, you can do that and you will still become successful. You will need to be more disciplined, to eat the right foods, to sleep the right way, and enough. Because if you don't, when you're just getting started in business, you focus on your own business, you're alone, you don't have any employees. Guess what happens if you can't show up and do the work? Because you're hangover, because you're too exhausted, because you ate a massive McDonald's meal. Then the work doesn't get done. And if the work doesn't get done, you don't earn money, you don't get new customers. And so you stay stuck in that stage where your life is miserable. So I've learned the hard way that becoming successful is more about eliminating the things that hold you back instead of adding more new things, more positive habits. Chances are you might not even realize this consciously right now, but you have habits, relationships, or beliefs that hold you back. In order to see any success, I had to become a completely different version of myself. Over 5 years ago, I desperately wanted to become successful. I wanted to start a consulting business, close $1,000 deals on the phone with complete strangers, become a successful, confident man. But the reason I couldn't take action was because I was paralyzed by fear. I knew I needed to find a way to get attention for my product or my service, and so I needed to make content or reach out to potential customers, but I was too afraid to do it. I was afraid of rejection, of criticism, and all these scenarios that I created in my brain, those nightmare scenarios, they never even actually happened. That's the worst part. So for 7 months, I held myself back. I didn't work on my business. I was just procrastinating all day because of imaginary fears, imaginary problems. It's not until the day I told myself, you know what? Fuck this shit. I've had enough. And I made a list of all of the things I was afraid to do at the time, and I forced myself to do one thing that scared me every single day with no excuses. So at the time, because I was so anxious, I couldn't even go for a walk in the neighborhood. Yeah, that's how bad it got for me at some point. And so that's exactly one of the first things I forced myself to do. I grabbed my running shoes, I went outside, and then everything's peaceful and quiet outside. I had nothing to be afraid of. But when you go through traumatic events in the past, your brain sees anything as a potential threat, which prevents you from doing the things that you need to do to become successful. I also started to force myself to speak to strangers because I knew you can't become a successful business owner if you can't even speak to people. If you have no social skills, business is all about people. You need to master social skills. And as soon as I did that, as soon as I forced myself to overcome all of my fears one after the other, everything changed in my life. So whereas 5 years ago, I was this anxious guy who couldn't do the work, who didn't believe in himself, who kept procrastinating, nowadays I'm up at 5 a.m. every morning and I work 10 to 13 hours a day, 6 times a week, and I close $1,000 deals on meetings with complete strangers. Life has never been that good for me. But that was only possible because I evolved myself into a different version of myself, and along the way, I had to give up many bad habits. I had to give up some relationships as well because some people were holding me back and I didn't realize it at the time. And speaking about relationships, you will be very surprised to discover that some of the people you thought you were close to don't actually want to see you do better than them. They don't actually want to see you succeed. When you start to improve yourself, you start going to the gym, you start building your business, reaching out to potential customers, you start to see some results because if you take action, you get results. It's that simple. And people in your environment can have two very distinct reactions. They can be inspired by what you do and work harder themselves. That's amazing. That's what I love to see. But other people, they will look at you, they will see you getting results, moving forward, achieving what they want to achieve, and instead of letting it inspire them, they will get jealous. They will be defensive. They will almost hate you. I know it's hard to swallow, but you have to realize it's going to happen most likely. Because when you level up, it's like if they stay there and you level up to that level, it creates a mismatch. It's like you're no longer vibrating on the same frequency. So I lost a few friends and people who were very close to me for that reason. But honestly, you should never see that loss as a negative. You should always see it as a positive. If somebody is meant to get out of your life, or if somebody just wants to live your life, let them. Why would you want to try to force somebody to want to be in your life? It makes no sense. Sure, it might hurt in the moment to lose that person because you have plenty of happy memories with them, but you have to let them go. If you hold on to something which belongs to the past, how can you move forward and welcome the future? You can't. The right people will be there for you. The right people won't let you down because you want to improve your life. So I personally see it as a form of cleansing, however painful it might be. You never ever want to make the mistake of putting somebody above your mission. Your mission is your #1 priority. In fact, it should be your obsession. For me, my mission was I wanted to become successful, make $10,000 per month and even more than that. So I could not only show to my family things could be done differently, but also because selfishly I wanted more freedom and abundance. I was sick and tired of hearing my parents worry about the price of everything all the time. I didn't want to live the rest of my life in this kind of scarcity mindset, knowing that there is so much abundance out there. I mean, come on. When I was a kid, I could see people driving in supercars on the highway. Those kinds of cars were worth more than my parents' house. So I knew for a fact some people lived in a true state of abundance, and I didn't see why we couldn't do the same, why we wouldn't deserve the same. But the thing is, no one is going to go and to give you the things that you want. You have to make it happen yourself. And think about this. Would you give up your dreams, your mission, your vision, your obsession for somebody else, whoever they might be? Would you give up the thing that makes you you? Now, if your goal is to build a profitable business, to make $10,000 per month, $20,000 per month, so you can become financially free and finally do the things that you love, maybe retire your parents, maybe take care of your family, buy the nice shit that you like, go and travel. You need to understand, not every business opportunity is equal. Online, you will find plenty of videos on the top 10 best ways to make money online, but most of these videos are shit because you're going to be told you need to start business models like dropshipping, except that when you do the math, if you try to start a dropshipping business, and especially with paid advertising, let's say you made $10,000 in a month, here is exactly how much money you would keep after tax. Typically, when you're doing dropshipping or even e-commerce in general, profit margins are extremely small. What this means is that you would only keep between 9% to 20% of the $10,000 you made initially. So translated into numbers, you would only keep between $900 up to $2,000, and that's before taxes. You will have to pay corporate tax on that revenue that you make, and typically in most countries it's going to be about 25%. So after you've paid your corporate tax, you will be left with $675 up to 1.5k, and that's not it. You can't use that money to go and to buy yourself a brand new car, a brand new watch, or anything that you want. If you want to use that money for personal reasons, you will need to pay yourself either with dividends or a salary, except that you will pay taxes again on top of that, and income tax as an individual. So if we do the math, you've made $10,000 in a month with your dropshipping business, selling physical products, yet at the end of the month, you are more broke than somebody working at a fast food joint. And the truth is, you probably work a lot more. You probably work 10 hours a day on your business. Instead, what you need to do is to sell services or consulting online. It's the same business model that allowed me to go from only having $400 in my bank account over 5 years ago to making upwards of $1,000 a day at 21. Now, I can't really go too in-depth in this video, otherwise it's going to be 5 hours long, but if you want to discover how I made that happen, and if you want me to share with you the step-by-step process I used, that way you can literally just copy me, I've made a free video in which I share with you everything. The link will be in the description. Or, if you're committed to starting your business and becoming financially free, you can directly book a free call with me or my team, and we'll see if we can help you. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend, and together, let's blow up this YouTube channel to empower ambitious individuals across the globe to become financially free.